Good evening, Recall Warriors.
All right, guys. All right, good stuff. I thought we had one more video. I was waiting for the screen to pop up there. My name's Dr. Cordy Williams. I am the weekly town hall moderator. Great to see you guys tonight. We got a great show coming up. Going to find out some new numbers. Got an epic guest. I think it's really awesome to have seen the video of diversity that we just saw, because it kind of just kills that whole narrative that's been going on the last couple of weeks. That's pretty much every week. It seems like it's some different race that we don't like. And that video kind of just summed it all up. This recall is about everybody. It's about the people, we, the people of California. And I think that video portrayed it. And really, I think the actions of everybody on this panel for the last 9 months and the 6,000, 7,000 volunteers around the state of California have also reflected that. But we got a great lineup tonight. We got Mike Netter, Orrin Heatley, Susan Hurd, Tim Holiday, the great Randy Economy, and we've got a special guest that is also going to share a different kind of interesting narrative tonight that'll blow your mind. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it off with Orrin Heatley. Go ahead, our lead proponent and fearless leader.
Good evening and happy Cesar Chavez Day today, folks. And doing a little bit of research, because I have to admit that my schooling didn't do justice to teach me everything that I needed to know about Cesar Chavez, the man, the person, the legend. And I did a little reading today in my off time, and I learned that, you know, what I know about him now, I firmly believe that he would have been a champion of this cause, and he would have not only signed the petition, but he would have helped move that thing forward, given his stance on migration and, you know, his support for the local worker and for people of California.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. I did not know that. See, go figure. Netters, I see you over there. There's blood coming down your lips. Go ahead, beautiful man.
Let me tell you something about Cesar Chavez that I found really interesting. I know today is his birthday. Cesar was a fighter. And to Orrin's point, I think what gets lost a lot in this battle that we have to take back California is the fact we as citizens across the board have done something very quickly and kind of uniting California. It's interesting that I think the Democratic infrastructure, and I don't want to say the Democrats, the Democratic infrastructure, and Randy's going to talk about the polls, et cetera, that are coming out today. But here's the reality of the situation. No matter how they cut, slice, and dice the polls, you know, there's 14% that are undecided. That's what it's supposed to be about. But it really doesn't matter, because this election, the people's choice is going to take place. And that's really a lot. And I've read up a little bit more than you, Orrin, historically on Cesar Chavez. He was a fighter. He fought for people. And that's in effect what everybody in the recall is doing. It's interesting when you heard in the video earlier, we talked a little bit, there's a little bit about a talk about unions. And I sometimes think the message get mixed on but we had Ed Ring in our radio show a couple of weeks ago. And let's be perfectly clear here. Unions are not bad. Public unions, I want you to really think about this, like the teachers union and unions that literally control their bosses. Get your arms around that. What the school unions are doing right now is they're funding money to the people that control their fate. And that's a little bit where I think we have large infrastructure up against people of all races, diversities, religions uniting in California. And the narrative that this is about a certain segment, I said this many times, this is simply about Californians. It's about Californians needing and having to take their state back. The reality is, and I'm going to say it, Orrin, whether you like it or not, there is an election taking place, okay? And this constant pounding in the newspapers that you're hearing about, well, here's a poll, we did a poll, +3, -3, divided by 16, look at the 6 people. Look, scoreboard is at the end of the day. There's about 14% people that are undecided, as before any election. The election's 4 months off. I also want to be clear here before I toss it to the next person, what the timeline is and what our mission is for the next few months. Our main mission in recallgavin2020.com and why the town halls will continue, why the radio show will continue, why we'll have the pleasure of still staring at Cordy's face every week. Sorry, I had to throw that in. Okay, it's simple. We need to spend our next 4 to 5 months making the 15 to 20% who are undecided why Gavin Newsom needs to be recalled. Here's the timeline again for everybody because it is a bit confusing. Shocking, I know, when it comes to election law. We've turned in all our signatures, okay? They have until April 17th to acknowledge the signatures until April 29th to do a final verification. Trust me, I don't want to spoil the numbers later. You've seen them already. This is getting on the ballot. Once that date comes along, the state legislature has about a 30 to 60 day period. It's a little bit vague to find out where they're going to get the 100 million from, go back and forth and look and find out this is legit. After that, the Secretary of State with the Lieutenant Governor will then have to, by law, set an election within 80 to 100, I believe it's 120 days. 80, is that correct, Oren?
Yeah,
so
it is.
that means that election date will be sometime either in late summer or early fall. That is the timeline. But really, the hyperbole that I'm seeing in the press right now, which I'm sorry, Randy, I find a little bit humorous, whether I like it or not, there is going to be a recall election, period. Okay? It's almost mathematically non-existent that a recall election will not take place. So these things we're seeing by the Newsom camp of stop this, stop that, it's this, it's that. Gavin, I'd have been a little bit more concerned if you'd caught on maybe 8 months ago that the people of California were concerned, but apparently you missed that memo and it's a little bit late to issue it now.
Amen. Well, Mike, don't be jealous because I look better in a linen jacket than you do. But at any rate,
I didn't wear a tie. I didn't want to show you up.
Yeah, so true, right? And every week it's a different racial problem we have over here at Recall Gavin, apparently. But then you see the diversity of everybody that signed the petition is just like the diversity of the flag. Kind of interesting. But at any rate, Randy, economy, go ahead, beautiful man. And then we'll get to the most important person on this panel, Miss Susan Hurd. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey guys, so again, in regards to these polls, excuse me, I have the crazy dog here that's going to be eliminated in about 30 seconds here. Polls are going to fluctuate up and down. There's a new California Public Policy Institute poll that was released today, or actually last night, but coincidentally through the Los Angeles Times. So that kind of gives you the bias in regards to where they're at. But it said that 56% of Californians basically oppose the recall of Gavin Newsom. Where right now with the margin of error, believe it or not, with that poll, we're dead even right now, and we knew that, and we know that this campaign is going to go down to the final minute, and polls fluctuate, and so anybody can write a poll in any way they want to be able to get a certain result, and we know that. But again, our official position is the only poll that counts is what's the one on election day. And whenever that day is actually going to be held. But breaking news, we're going to have an election day because everybody has admitted to the fact that we have succeeded. We have been successful as a movement and as a grassroots organization. And for that, each and every one of you on this call and every one of you who have been out there in the field to get to this point to where they're even conducting official polls now need to be extremely, extremely proud, just as much as we are proud. But again, welcome to the campaign. The campaign is underway. We're thrilled to death. But again, a poll is only good as the way it is written. And I can write a poll 15 different ways to get 15 different answers. And again, anything coming out from the LA Times right now, I really take a little suspect to. But that's kind of where we're at with it. So don't get discouraged. Be humored by it. Keep focused. And again, welcome to the campaign. And we did this, guys. And it's all because of everybody here who's on this call, who did the heavy lifting to make it.
Hey, figures don't lie, but liars figure, so I'm told.
Well, I'm going to jump back for a second. There's 5 polls.
Shocker.
Yeah, shocker. Breaking news. There's 5 polls which came out last week. 5. All right. Those 5 polls, as on CBS, put up with Dave Siders, who did the great story with us on Politico, and they're all over the news. When given a choice, it's really simple. 38% favor getting rid of Gavin. 14% are undecided. If you schedule a poll like the one the Times making a big deal out of it, and if you look at the poll carefully, which I did, and don't have the option to put "I'm not sure," you can maneuver these figures any way that you want. Randy,
Exactly.
you found something very valuable. Sorry, but I'm going to give you a compliment here. So slow down.
Okay. All right. I just want to add something else real quick too.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to let you. But you taught me about news cycles. So it's interesting that last week's news cycle contained 5 polls. Today's news cycle contains 1. It really hasn't changed. We have 14% that the campaign is going to do to convert these, and that's what Gavin's all about. Back to you, Randy.
Susan, can you write that down? Netters just gave Randy a compliment. We need to, this is a historic day. So
Quick, document this very moment right now. I'm putting it on YouTube. Anyway, the amazing thing is, after getting a barrage of phone calls today from media members, and I always know that there's going to be a crazy day when I start getting phone calls and text messages saying, can you respond to something that some media outlet put out about the campaign? And this morning it was in regards to this California Public Policy Institute poll. But again, the one who was the biggest, the one who was the big newsmaker today on the recall wasn't this poll, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold Schwarzenegger came out and basically gave us a backhanded, front-handed hug and says, you know, watch out for these recall guys. You know, watch out for the leaders of this recall because, you know, they're coming after Gavin and we're all coming after him. And that's a testament to each of us on this call tonight. So Governor Schwarzenegger is fully engaged with us right now, which is kind of interesting because he is the biggest expert in regards to American political history in regards to gubernatorial recalls. And he today put out a warning to Gavin Newsom. So that was a huge news story today for everybody. So we have been responding to Governor Schwarzenegger's comments. I think it would be really cool if maybe we can get Governor Schwarzenegger to be on our town hall one of these weeks. I think he might be an interesting guest, and I don't know if we've thought about doing that, Mr. Netter or Mr. Heatley, but I think, you know, everybody's engaged now, and it's about we the people and you people and everybody's people, because we did this, and that's exciting. So let's just keep working as hard as we can and let the reporters keep writing about us as much as they can, because the more they write about us, the more it's real.
Well, and before we go to Susan and Tim, and then Oren, before you introduce our amazing and beautiful special guest, what I wanted to say just for everybody out there is, you know, anything I say from stage or I say to my followers, anything like that, these are not the opinions of Recall Gavin. So, you know, I tend to be a guy that I speak my mind and I'm very candid, and not all of my candid conversations, none of them reflect on the recall and opinions of the recall. So I just wanted to get that out there to our news friends and be really forthright with that. So Susan, before we go to you, Timbo, do you want to say anything? You're down in the lower corner. Did you have any contribution? I see your amazing flyers and you work your tail off. Did you have anything that you wanted to say today, brother? I know you're blacked out, looking all cool and everything, but.
Let me see if I can get some camera on here.
All good, buddy.
Where is that button?
Playing Dan tonight, so he's kind of busy. I don't think.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I'm in the middle of sharing. I'm sharing.
I didn't know you were playing Dan. Man.
Yeah, I'm sharing our
brother.
town
It's
hall
hard to
across
fill
the
those shoes.
nation. So yeah, I'm sharing our town hall across the nation right now on the Facebook groups. And
Wow.
but yeah, definitely everybody tune in to kabc.com on Friday night. And what time is that, Mike?
7 o'clock Friday nights at the French Laundry.
And are we doing another 2-hour show?
We're doing a 2-hour show every week because we've got a lot to say, and we encourage everybody out here too. We want to take your calls and get on the air. I'm going to give a quick thing here. The issues that we bring up that are continuously across the spectrum, as we tried to demo tonight, it's 1-800 Oren 5222. It's another platform that we're using to continue to get the message over the airwaves to why Gavin Newsom is not worthy to be our governor.
On that note, I want to jump in real quick, Tim. You made a good point. And I just want to say Randy also has a show These are listener supported shows. So they operate as long as there are donations that come in to support the actual show itself. They're very informative. I call it infotainment because they're entertaining and informative at the same time. And Randy's show, Randy, you have some plans coming up, but the show's going to take a little hiatus. Is that right? Or
That's
am
right.
I?
We're gonna, you know, we're gonna retool Recall Radio on Saturday nights at 9 o'clock, also on KBC. We're kind of gonna retool it because the metamorphosis of what we're doing, you guys, has wide-reaching implications beyond this particular recall with Gavin Newsom. And if you sit and look at the current environment, there's some major additional recalls that are taking place throughout the state. And I think we are being naturally looked at as being the leaders and the people who people want to get involved with their causes and their movements. And so we're excited. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to have a mega presence on talk radio here in California, not only in Los Angeles, but in San Diego and in San Francisco. So the whole genre of Friday Night the French Laundry and Recall Radio is gonna morph into something big and exciting and entertaining, and it's gonna be throughout all of California, just not in Los Angeles. But we know we're onto something pretty good. And pennies on the dollar, using talk radio is the greatest way for us to get our message out. So we might have an actual 3-hour block of talk shows back to back to back in regards to recalling and restructuring politics in California. So it's work in progress, but I wanted to let everybody know that I'm going to take a couple weeks hiatus from the Randy Economy Show Recall Radio, which is on now Saturday nights on KABC. So we can kind of go ahead and just kind of get to the next phase, because right now there's no doubt that we've qualified for the recall, for the ballot, and now we have to retool and we have to rethink how is the best way for us to move forward, not only as a campaign, but as a movement. So we can really get some great things done at every level in California. So I'm excited about that. So stay tuned. We're not going anywhere. We're just kind of sitting back and we're reloading.
So in order to keep these going and going forward, asking everybody if they can donate to recallgavin2020.com.
Yes.
Awesome. You got anything else, Timbo?
That's it. I'm going to go back in the underground and keep on sharing.
Underground. Love you, brother.
Love
All
you
right,
too.
Miss Susan, you got the floor, young lady.
Hey, everyone. You know, I just wanted to say, this is the time that we can take a breather. Breathe in, relax. We've worked our tails off. The volunteers have worked their tails off for so long. Come April 29th is when we're going to know how many signatures are validated, and we will have the required number. Then we're going to be on the road again, hitting the road hard. There are a lot of groups now saying that they're involved in the recall, and they want you to sign up and they want you to donate. There's so many of them that are jumping on this bandwagon. The only ones anyone wants to donate to is recallgavin2020.com. That is the official Recall Gavin site. There, and we just got a new one, Fire Gavin Newsom. There's so many other groups out there trying to get on the bandwagon and trying to get donations, but they're not coming to us. Do not donate to any of these other groups. Come April 29th, or thereabouts, we will know how many ballot signatures we have. Get ready for phase 2, because we're going to fight.
Susan, somebody just posted Carl DeMaio quote "stolen valor," and I had to chuckle at that.
I was going to say the guy named after a burger joint, because I didn't want to defame. I didn't want to defame that individual's name. But
you know what? I'm not defaming anybody. Okay. I'm just making a comment that was something somebody had said. So yeah, moving right along.
I authorize
absolutely
this. As the official spokesperson for this organization. I resemble that remark.
I love it.
No, Pete.
Brent, do you want to go ahead and introduce our beautiful special guest?
Harriet, how are you doing tonight, sweetheart?
I'm well. Thank you for having me.
We are so glad to have you on board. As you know, our name has been tarnished and dragged through the mud, but what the opposition doesn't know is that I grew up playing in the mud. I love getting down and dirty and getting in the trenches, and you know, we will fight a good fight. And you know, God bless you for coming aboard. You've been working on a project that it's important. Although, you know, it's not specifically recall related. It is, you know, related to cultural developments that are going on in our state, in our nation right now. And, you know, you have a unique perspective that I thought was important that you come and share it with our guests.
Well, thank you. And I would like you to know that this might be recall related because
True.
the state of California Board of Education has just signed off or voted 11-0 to allow this. It's called Ethnic Studies course. They are allowing that curriculum for the entire state of California. Now, on the third draft of this curriculum, Gavin Newsom did veto it. So they went back to the drawing board and they've done some more things on it, but they didn't change much. And we don't know what he's going to do on this one, but I can guarantee you once you hear about this curriculum, if he signs it, it will just be another reason to recall him.
Well, tell us a little bit about what the curriculum and what you're talking about there.
The ethnic studies course sounds very good. It makes parents excited. They think their children are going to learn about different cultures and different ethnicities, and that they're going to be bringing these things to light. That is how they sell this product. But it's not what it is. We have been fighting a fight in the Los Alamitos School District, who's getting ready to implement this course for 11th and 12th graders as an elective. However, they've already stated that their plans are to take this K through 12. So this is just the foot in the door. Again, California, the state, has already said this is the curriculum that we think is important for our kids to have. And unfortunately, even when we talk to those people in Los Alamitos School District, they admitted that the curriculum is based on a critical race theory, or they said it's through a critical race lens. So however you want to take that. If you haven't heard of critical race theory, I really suggest you look it up. This is all over the country. It's very outrageous in what they want to teach your children. It's a Marxist ideology. They're teaching it as fact. They're saying that white people, or this country, was founded through white supremacy, and that white people are oppressors. Everyone else is oppressed or a victim. So they make it sound really good, but when you start digging into the people who actually created the curriculum, and I'll give you some names that you can look up, you can see their writings. One of them, for example, Christine Sleeter, it's Sleeter. She has a blog, and she's written some very disgusting things on this blog, especially in regards to this, the unrest that we had over the summer. So I think that was written in May of last year. That's very eye-opening. But what it is, in my opinion, they are trying to make us hate each other. So these kids who are very impressionable, they're being indoctrinated. And instead of teaching them things like the Constitution or teaching children to treat others as they want to be treated, instead, what they're doing is making people break down their identity, whatever that means. They are making them look at different aspects of these identities, and that includes gender diversity, by the way. They want children to explore each race, and they want them to see people through race rather than as people. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. said, you know, we want to be judged by the content of our character and not by the color of our skin. Well, they're going the opposite of that. And they're saying that you should be looking at people's race. And basically they feel that white people are racist no matter if they believe that they are or not. So there's really it's a catch-22 for white people, because no matter what you do, you can say you're not racist, but they feel that you're still racist. You can say you don't, yes.
Even if you, when you say you're not racist, then you're racist for saying that, making that statement.
That's correct. So there's no way out. Also, what they do is they are teaching this ideology as fact. So it's not an opinion. It's not taught as this is what some people think. I think it's more appropriate for a college class. But when you start teaching people that races and telling them what they believe as a race, this is really dangerous, a very dangerous ideology to put out to kids. Also, you should follow the money on this. These people are making a lot of money pushing this type of critical race theory. The people who, for example, there's one gentleman, his name is Tolteca Cotton. And I need to spell this for you because you really need to look him up. The first name is Tolteka, and the last name Cotton is spelled Cuuhtin. This guy has been teaching in Los Angeles Unified for quite some time. They do have him on the board. He sits on some board on the Board of Education in California. And conveniently, they're also talking about buying his book to teach the course. Now, I thought that was a conflict of interest, but this is how these people roll. It really does remind me of all the Black race baiters that we've had over the years. For example, Maxine Waters, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. These people have made millions for themselves and their families off the backs of Black people. They don't care about Black people. Black people never saw any of the money that they generated. However, they show up front and center every time a white cop shoots a Black person. And it's very disgusting, mostly because we really should be teaching our kids that the way you stay out of the crosshairs of the police is to not be involved in criminal activity. That would be a really good start. And also, to do what you should do if you're driving down the street and you aren't doing anything to anyone, no one is going to bother you. And they're teaching children that white people are out to get these Black people. So that's why, Al Sharpton feels very free to show up at a murder scene, or what he's calling a murder scene, but he's just generating eyes so that he can make money off of it. And that's exactly what they're doing in this critical race theory. It's garbage. They're making a lot of money off of it. You should see how much these consultants are making through the school district. They're paying them lots and lots of money. Also, there's one other person that you should look up is Miguel Zavala. It's not the attorney, because that name does pop up. He's a professor, I believe at Cal State LA. He has written a book called Raza. I don't remember the exact name of it. I should have written it down, but it's a book that, in other words, he's part of La Raza and believes in, if you've not heard of that movement, maybe you should look that one up. It's an old movement that's been getting siphoning money off the government for many, many years. They believe that this land belongs to Mexicans, that they believe in open borders and many other things. They talk about colonization that white people are responsible for. So their whole goal is to make America look bad, to make people of color think that other people are after them, to ensure that they bring white people down by calling them racist, and to just really indoctrinate children. Oh, and I forgot to tell you the big thing. It's the social justice portion of it. That's a very large portion of what the school district wants to do or what these teachers are wanting to do. They feel that they have some mandate to teach your children to be social justice warriors. Now, I'm going to let you fill in the blank for whatever cause you think they might be social justice warriors for, but they do list BLM, and this is in the California state curriculum, they do list BLM as an effective social movement. So that should tell you all you need to know and where they might be leading your kids. Do you remember years back where teachers were letting students out of school to protest different things that they didn't like? This was all very left-wing subjects that they felt, and they gathered these kids up, ginned them up, and sent them out on the street, which most parents, I think, want their children in school learning something. And I think if they taught them the Constitution, it would teach them all they need to know about justice. But instead of teaching the Constitution, they're teaching the kids to hate each other. And they have said that babies as young as 3 months old are racist, white babies, of course.
Wow.
So there's lots more to it. I mean, it really is very sad when you see there are other components that they add onto this. It may not come from the school, but you may have noticed the mayor of Oakland, who is proposing to give people of color, of course, $500 a month. And this only goes to people under a certain economic limit. So in other words, it's supposed to be to poor people. But if you're white, you don't get it because you have white privilege. So this is only for people of color. They haven't really answered yet whether or not if you're white and you're poor, you get it. Illegals do get it, however. So now we're wondering if someone is illegal and they're white and they're poor, if they get it. So this is how crazy this is. And I think that they're teaching children that this is how we should address these problems. And this is not the way to address these problems. They should be teaching our children a classical education that we can all agree on and not taking them down this path of indoctrination.
Harriet, I want you
all at once. I knew it was gonna be rapid fire.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Netters.
Harriet has a very important point here, even hidden in your message about California education. I'll try to make this quick here. My mom was a teacher for 45 years, and I grew up, and she was teacher of the year in the district. And one of the things I learned as a young kid, you can look this up. California, as the largest state in the union, is one of the very few states where all public school districts are required to have the same curriculum, meaning in effect use the same books. Now that I want to stress this point very, very quickly, what Harriet just said, not let it get buried in the message. Okay, understand what that means. In the old days, you might argue about not calculus, because calculus is calculus, but how it's taught. But the competition for the calculus English books or curriculum is huge because they're 3-year contracts. So the authors of these particular theories stand to think about this. Over 3 years, they can license, mandated in California in the public schools. If you go to most states, different school districts kind of have to teach the same thing, but not use the exact same book or curriculum, as we now call it. So these authors, Harriet, that's an incredible point you made. I don't want to get lost here. This is about money. If I can write something that gets adapted in the state of 40 million people to go to 10 million kids or 8 million, that's a lot of money. It's a guaranteed huge revenue flow by copyright for 3 years. And even when you eliminate the diverse point of view that needs to be discussed, story for another day, as Oren likes me to say, the reality is this is about money, flat out and out. I could put out something, I can copyright my theory, I can guarantee sales of a book for the next 3 years, and it flows in and out of the teacher union and back to government.
The interesting part too is that if you look at the books of the authors that I mentioned to you, If you look at them, the reviews aren't very good. I don't think that the book would go over well unless the people were forced to use it. California is probably, I think we're like 49 out of 50 states in terms of education. It's very bad. Also, my mother was a teacher as well. My sister is a retired teacher. So I almost became a teacher until I got immersed in the classes that they were teaching to teachers. It was so disgusting to me that I decided to go a different direction. And they have been pushing this multicultural. The one thing you have to remember with this critical race theory, it's been called many things. And they'll keep changing the name of it because they keep rebranding it, trying to get it in. So it used to be multicultural education, and now it's ethnic studies. But the other thing that you should be very aware of is that they immerse this critical race theory into every single subject. So they will find a way to get this in. If you allow this in the schools, you have to be very specific and go to your school board and tell them that you don't want it. Many schools are already teaching it. For example, I know that there's many schools in Orange County that this curriculum for Los Alamitos was taken from. So they're already out there teaching it. I've heard of horror stories in Sacramento and other places. All you have to do is put in critical race theory and you will see many articles come up where parents are horrified at the trauma that their kids are being exposed to. And there is also if you go to Educators for Excellence in Ethics. This is a group of professional educators that have gotten together, gone through the entire California State Board of Education critical race, ethics course, and they have noted all the places where they have not only missed the mark, but where they are, if they teach the curriculum in the way they say they will, it's against the US Constitution. They violate the state constitution, the California Penal Code, the State Board of Education. There are so many areas where they could actually be sued if they bring this curriculum forth. And again, many school districts are already teaching it.
Harriet, I have a question. And this is something that I really I've been so busy with the recall and things like that. I've only been able to follow certain things at a distance. And I just want to backtrack real quick. I think that we began this slippery slope in education when we allowed in 1972, and I was just a child at that time, but when we allowed civics to be removed from the classroom as a required study. When you take that knowledge out of the population, then you're able to dumb down the population and they're able to get away with what they're doing today. I remember, back in the day, we used to have, cartoon commercials about, conjunction junction and what's your function and what a bill is and things like that. But those have all gone away in favor for other curriculum. But I've only heard rumor, and I don't know, maybe you know more than I do, maybe you don't know about it, but I've heard, that there's been people say that math there's dispersions in math, and math itself is a problem in certain areas of education.
Well, let's just call it what they call it. They say it's racist. And I don't know what to say to that, except it's really dumb. I don't. Math is math. 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. If you can come up with something else and why that's racist, I spent the end of my career as a human resources generalist, and one of the things that always floored me was the fact that people couldn't do math and couldn't read their pay stub, and this just shows. I wasn't using a special math for this pay stub. I mean, it was the same math everybody else gets on their pay stub. But unfortunately, there's so many people who really don't know math, and they don't understand percentages, that there's 6.2% that you're going to pay into Social Security, and there's 1.5 or whatever it was percent that you're going to pay to the state for disability and so on. They don't understand any of that. And to me, you would be much better off teaching 11th and 12th graders how to do a job interview, how to read their pay stub, and quit calling math racist. It's just ridiculous. My mother was a math coordinator, and the way that they get rid of good teachers, this is when she retired. They tried to force her to learn Spanish, and she at that time was the math coordinator. There was no reason for her to learn Spanish. And not only that, I just don't see, I did my student teaching at MacArthur Primary School. All the kids in there were learning in Spanish, unfortunately. That was another thing that was very disheartening about this whole thing. But all the kids on the playground, they're running around yelling in English, but they're teaching them in the classroom in Spanish. And I think that this is done intentionally to harm those students.
So Harriet, I have a question. And,
yes.
And you might have already answered this, I don't know or not, but we've kind of taken some, I guess, hits of sorts the last 3 weeks on, the very thing we were kind of joking about, just, from the standpoint we were joking about it because it's so ridiculous. I mean, there's so much diversity in this recall. And I'm just curious, when I think about my freedom movement and, what we've done all over the country and all over the state, I kind of see tyranny up here and liberties down here, and we the people is somewhere in the middle. And I'm just curious, where do you think some of these policies or agendas are coming from? I mean, who's driving this? I mean, obviously, Gavin is signing off on these. Well, not signing off. He vetoed the last one, to your point, but he's gonna try to sign off on one, I'm sure. Like who's behind this, in your opinion?
Well, there could be a number of players. I do think it comes from way atop somewhere, because I think that there has been a concerted movement, not just in this country, but everywhere, to make people hate each other. And I don't think we hate each other. And as I pointed out at a Los Alamitos school board meeting, there are just too many biracial babies in everywhere, all over the world, to think that people of different races actually hate each other. I'm not saying that there's no racism. That would be a dumb thing to say. Of course there is, but there's always going to be idiots, and there's always going to be criminals. So you're never going to wipe out anything completely. But my parents, I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, as were my parents. They lived through Jim Crow South. My parents moved out here. My dad was 30 in 1959. And my parents worked very hard. They put us in private school, all of their kids, and they bought a home, and they worked their tails off. My father told us any school we could get in, he would pay for it. He'd find a way. And all I have to say is that this whole theory that these people push erase the progress that we've made over the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years since Jim Crow was outlawed. And my father did very well, not because he was oppressed. My father felt free. He always felt free, and he taught us to believe that we are free. And as a matter of fact, he did better than a lot of people did. My parents retired in their 50s. So to tell people that they're victims and to treat them as victims and to get them to hate people, it's so wrong on so many levels. That was part of the problem that I had when I was in college. All the lies that were told about the South and what happened and how people hated each other. Well, there was a law, just like we have a law about lockdowns right now. There was a law, but everybody didn't follow the law, and everybody didn't hate each other. And my parents had people who were white and poor just like them, and they all helped each other. So they weren't taught to hate people. They weren't taught, even though they did have to use the colored bathroom and go to the colored school and the ride in the back of the bus and all that, but they still weren't taught to hate anyone. And that is how we should be teaching our children today. We should be teaching them to feel that they have the world at their feet, that they have any possibility that that it's available to them, prepare them for that, and get them to treat people the way they want to be treated. I think if we do that and teach the Constitution, we'll be just fine, but we really don't need the hate.
I want to go back to a point that you had made early on regarding the title of the curriculum and the deception behind it, where they're going to paint it as in a manner that's very favorable. And this was done to us not that long ago, but when Prop 47, I think it was in 2011 or 2014, when Prop 47, Prop 57 came out, they were labeled the Safe Neighborhoods Act. Okay. And what Prop 47 did, it is the root of all of the evils with our homeless crisis that we're experiencing right now, the humanitarian crisis on our streets. Prop 47 reorganized our prison systems and reformed our judicial system. So you had a net reduction in prison population. And as that prison population went down, you saw the homeless population rise in direct proportion. And, so now the Safe Neighborhoods Act actually is the resulted in the homeless crisis that we have today through deceptive marketing. And, we voted for these things, and they put it in because it's awful hard to vote against something that's titled Safe Neighborhoods or Safe Schools. Okay. And, when you see these, we have to look past the headlines. We have to look deeper into the root of, what they're trying to sell. What's in the package, not what's on the package, what's in the package, and look at what they're selling us. And a lot of times we'll find out it's a bill of goods. And, Prop 47, like I said, it took people from, a secure environment where they had access to medical care, counseling, rehabilitation services, job training and education and things like that, and release them out onto the street with no resources or ability to fend for themselves. And now we see, that growing, and we no longer have homeless camps. You have entire homeless communities. And this governor has gone out and compounded the problem by releasing another 20,000 state prisoners, unleashing them back out onto the streets. And he did that out of compassion, right? So he's releasing these prisoners out of compassion to prevent them from catching COVID, but he took them from an environment where they had access to food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and he put them out into an environment where they're living in a tent on the side of the road with nothing, no means to fend for themselves, and literally suffering on the side of the shoulder in these horrific windstorms and rainstorms and the cold. And now we're moving into the summer months where they're going to be out there in the blistering heat with no means of escaping, the summer heat and things like that, where it's a problem, and it's a self-generated humanitarian crisis. And it's that type of mentality that falsely labels these bills or these programs or the curriculums. And they may have good intentions, but my grandmother had taught me the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
That's right.
But it's up to us whether or not we travel.
Well, we really need to take a look at this because, and to your point, look at the Equality Act. What is that? Is it really equality? And when you look at things like the, what's the other one that they have?
Is it Equality Act or equity? Is it equality or equity?
Either one. It doesn't matter. It all sounds very good. They know most people won't read it. Yeah. And the For the People Act, it's really not for the people. It's so that we can keep having fraud on every election. These things, I don't know if it's the deep state or whoever does it, but they're really telling you exactly what they want you to know. When you dig in, you might see on the surface that it says one thing, but you got to dig in a little bit, and then you'll see what you really should see and what you should be frightened of for your children, because they're going to stick this, not just if you let this in one class, it will encompass every course. Every teacher will feel free, whether it's a history class, an English class, even a math class, because they've already told you it's racist. So they will feel free to embed this critical race theory and how it all works in. And I really urge you to look at people like Robin DiAngelo. Look at how much money this woman makes. She wrote a book called White Fragility. This is also being pushed in corporations. I have had friends who have had to sit through staff development courses where they are pushing, telling people, in other words, everyone was getting along fine until they had the staff development course where they were telling everyone to watch out for microaggressions and watch these white people over here with the privilege. And it's always amazing to me that none of these people they never step down and give up their job. If they really believed what they said, then they would step down and they would allow a person of color or someone else to have that job, but they never do that. So it means that they don't really mean what they say. They mean it for you, but they don't mean it for them. They're just making money.
Hey, Harriet, we've got as we run here, we've got a lot of people asking, because obviously we're on a little bit of a time thing here, but they want to talk to you more. How do they get a hold of you? If you don't have a website, should they get a hold of you through the recall? You've got about 10, 15, 20 new fans tonight. So what would you like us to do with them?
Well, I do have a link to a document that will explain more about critical race theory and what's going on in the Los Alamitos School District. That's how I got started with this. And I'd be very happy to provide that link to Tim so he could put it up for people. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if they can send it out. I don't have a website. We have a very grassroots organization that actually came about because of a Recall Newsom event. I went to the Kevin Kiley Recall Newsom event that was at a park near my home. And I just happened to meet people, and they said, when we started talking about this critical race theory and they found out I was against it, it was like, wow, can you show up and come to our board meeting tomorrow? So the Los Alamitos School Board meets the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And we've been showing up there and we've been really giving them hell.
So Harriet,
it sounds like it's about time. Sounds like it's about time for you guys to establish a little website so people have a reference that they can go to.
Yes, we are looking at that.
What I'm going to ask for the people out there is, email us at info@recallgavin2020.com. Put attention Mike, Ned, or Oren. We'll put attention me. Oren doesn't answer his email. I'm just kidding, Oren. And what we'll do is we'll make sure that you get in touch with Harriet. I want to say something that's really the beauty of the recall here as we come to an end. What's really the beauty, I've said this all along, is the fact, and this is kind of what you're discussing here in inverse, that people have gotten together and said, I have an idea, right? You met people at a recall booth, the idea, and these small ideas grow into great things. And Harriet, thank you very, very much. Say hi to your husband.
I will.
Spent a few times out there with him putting signs on the street. Everybody out there, what Harriet brings up tonight is, again, small groups of people against the big machine. Newsom is part of the big machine. The textbook industry is part of the big machine. The unions, which control the education, which move with these one textbook fits all. And there are, by the way, 20 states that do it now. California is the biggest and been doing it the longest, are part of the big machine. We're not the big right wing. We're literally just the people of California giving each individual a chance to have a voice. And I really don't give a expletive deleted what the polls say. I don't really care this is about individuals making their own choice, and we should have the right to do it. A little bit of math for everybody out there, right? And by the way, this dispute with math books has to do with the math is a really big industry. My mom served on the committee, but I want to end with a little bit of math tonight. The math is relatively simple. We have already verified over 1.1 million signatures with the Secretary of State. They have approximately another 600,000 to take a look at. Even we verified an 84% rate. For those of you that are math challenged out there, at 600,000 left, if we verified it simply a 50% rate, this was getting on the ballot. So what our job is, and we need you all out there to tell us, like you are tonight, Harriet, reasons why you need to see not only Newsom recall, but change in the state of California. The recall is the battle just beginning to take back our state from whatever big machine just ticks you off. We're united in that together. Oren, do you want to close on anything here? We're already at 7:42. I don't want to wear a welcome.
Harriet, I just want to say thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight, and God bless you. You know, it was wonderful speaking with you again. I feel like I have a new friend in the world, and it was so nice to meet you down in Orange County and you know, break bread over the volunteer celebration down there. We're going to move forward, and we're going to get this thing done.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Harriet.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody out there. Listen to us Friday night on the radio. Cordy, if you're nice, we'll even have you back on as a guest soon. All right.
Hey, remember,
Thanks.
folks.
Thanks,
Remember,
Mike.
folks. Everything we do is listener and viewer supported. So donations go to recallgavin2020.com. You can send your checks in. We desperately need your funding. The funding has dropped off the map since we turned in all of the signatures, but the work is just beginning. So we need to continue the funding stream. We need to continue the drive moving forward. We need everybody's help. So let everybody know in your circles that, you know, if you've signed, if you donated, we need to keep that engine going, and it's going to take a lot more fuel to get us to the finish line.
And guys, don't worry, on the radio show, Mike has more pauses, so there's more opportunities, you know, there's more opportunities for a break for you. Anybody else, any last few minute comments? Randy?
No, I'm good.
Go ahead, Harriet.
Please go to californiaschoolchoice.org. Take the power out of the unions and out of the states. This is a great proposition to get on the ballot. californiaschoolchoice.org.
californiaschoolchoice.org. So on that, I'm going to say goodbye and farewell. We love you guys. God bless you. See you next week at 6:45. Have a blessed and awesome weekend.
Thank you, everybody, and good night. We're out whether you like it or not.
If you like it or not, we're out of here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.